Meredith Morakovitz alongside Joe Girardi. Joe, after the All-Star break, you guys came out and were playing some great baseball. You look at the homestand, 5-1 on that homestand. What did you attribute that to, the way you guys came out after the break?
We played a lot of close games. I thought our starting pitchers did a really good job of holding the opponents down. I think we had 5 one-run games. We were 4-1 in those. And our bullpen did an outstanding job, and we had some real timely hitting.
Jacoby Ellsbury said something after one of the games in that it's not just one guy, it's several guys that are contributing. It seems like it's a different guy every night. When you have that going on, does that just tell you you're in a stretch where you're playing good baseball?
Well, it just means that you're going to win a lot of games when everyone's contributing. And, you know, one day it was Jacoby, one day it was Tex, one day it was, Carlos who had the big hit. Brian McCann had some big hits. So I thought our guys did a really good job. We faced some really tough pitchers, and we were able to be 5-1 and 3-0 in our division, which is probably the most important thing.
Well, you mentioned that Orioles series. Do you say anything to the team going into that? Look, guys, we can get a lot of separation here, or you think everybody knows what's going on?
No, they understand. I mean, they've been in this too many times. We have too many veterans in that room and great leadership not to know what's going on. So we were able to play some tough games against the Orioles. The third one, we were able to build a pretty big lead and win 9-3.
And you scored a lot early. I know you talked a little bit about it in Minnesota, but this team just churns out runs in that first inning. They're leading the majors in the first, and you really thought it's the guys at the top of the order, and Brett Gardner, Jacoby Ellsbury getting the job done.
Well, they set the tone. In a lot of those games, Jacoby led off with a double. Gardy knocked him in one time. One time we got him over, got him in, that sort of thing. Gardy got him over, and Alex hit a sac fly. And those guys are on base so much, 40% of the time, basically each one of them. There's a real good chance you're going to score in the first inning.
What do you think the feeling is like when you have a game like Ellsbury did? He was just a triple shy of the cycle, hit a home run, drove in 4. That's a pretty good day at the plate.
Yeah, I'm sure he was really excited. We're excited about it too because, we felt that we got him back before the break and he swung okay, and then he had 4 days off for the break. And it was probably not a great time for him because he hadn't played a lot of games and had a lot of reps, and took him a couple days to get going. But he's a guy that's really important to us, and I thought he swung the bat really well in Minnesota again on Friday night, even though he didn't have any hits. And he's a guy that's a game changer. He really is, because he also has power.
Power and also speed on the base pass. We haven't seen a lot of it since he's been back. Do you think that's something that's going to take a little bit of time, or do you expect him to get more aggressive on the base pass?
No, I think he'll get more aggressive. I think part of that was he wasn't getting on a lot early on. And when you lead off with a double, you're probably not going to try to steal third with Gardy up because he's swinging so well, unless they just give it to you. So the opportunities really haven't been there.
Well, that was going to be something I was going to ask you, too, because you look at Gardner, who has swung the bat well. Then you have Teixeira and Alex Rodriguez in the middle of that order as well. They both have been phenomenal from the plate. So I have to assume you really have to be careful and know that you're going to get that bag in order to do so.
Yeah, you have to make sure you're going to get it, especially at our ballpark, the way these guys hit the ball at the ballpark. And you got Brian McCann behind, Tex. And, these 3 guys have been ever so important to our lineup and have really driven in a lot of runs. So you got to make sure.
Something that stood out to me during that Orioles series as well was the final game. You got a lot of production from the bottom of your order. Does that just speak to the depth that you have in that lineup?
It does. It just, you add Carlos back, and it just makes your lineup that much deeper. And I think about that first inning off of Jimenez. We get the bases loaded with nobody out, and he ends up getting 2 outs. He gets Tex and McCann without us scoring, and then Headley, hits the triple. Which I thought was really important in that game, that we didn't really let him off the hook. Actually, it was Tex and Beltran who made the 2 outs, and we didn't let him off the hook. And whenever you get that production and you can score like that early on, it really helps. But our lineup is really a lot deeper now with those guys back. It
seems like Headley's had a little bit of a weird year, both offensively and defensively. Do you expect more out of him offensively the second half?
I do, and I think he swung the bat a lot better. I think that he might be one of our unluckiest hitters during the course of this season, and we had a little joke going. He finally got what we'd call a cheap hit, and I gave him, there's one. And I said, you got about 24 more coming. Then he got another one. I said, there's 2. And I started giving him numbers at first base, and we kind of joked about it because he's lined out. I mean, you can go back to the play that Santana made on him Friday night. I mean, just an outstanding play. So his luck's got to change.
And you look at Didi Gregorius quietly. It seems as though he is becoming more and more comfortable on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, you're seeing him go like this, and that's what we want. And that's kind of what you expect from a young player that's coming into, to New York, where there's a lot of expectations. You're taking over a position that was manned by a Hall of Famer and Derek Jeter, and just a fan favorite. And he didn't drive Derek out. Derek retired. But, I mean, we felt it would take some time. And he's kind of grown into the position and played a lot better on both sides.
Let's get to the middle of that order, and Alex Rodriguez, Mark Teixeira. Now, Alex Rodriguez said after having a great game that he believes that Mark Teixeira is the MVP of this team this year. Do you think they're kind of fueling each other's fire a little bit as far as the offensive production?
I do. I think there's a lot of competition there between those three guys in the middle and the RBI race that they're having. And Tex has been stellar on offense and defense for us all year. And he's ever so important to our line because he's a switch hitter. And we have a lot of left-handers, so the switch hitters become really important.
He had said in spring training, look, I know if I'm healthy, I can be a 30 and 100 guy. Do you think people believed him, though, when he said that?
You know, I don't know. It doesn't matter what they believe. The important thing is what he believes, because he knows his talent and he knows what he's capable of doing. And that's been the big thing. He's been healthy.
And with Alex, the idea of DHing him, not even having him worry at all about playing in the field, how much do you think that simplified things for him?
A lot. We hit his gloves is what we did. I'm not sure he knows where they are anymore. But, you know, I once asked a DH in Travis Hafner, and I said, Travis, do you have a first baseman's glove? And he says, why, you want it? And I said, no. And he said, well, it's in my locker and I don't pull it out. So we want Alex just to hit. And that's what we talked about. For him to be helpful to this team, he had to be productive offensively, and that's exactly what he's done.
Guys that are used to playing 9 innings in the field, you're kind of into the game in a different way. Not everybody can transition to that DH role. Why do you think he's had so much success in that transition?
I think he accepted it. I think that's a big part of it, accepting what your role is. And I think, you know, he found himself feeling a lot better every day. He did play the field a couple times in April, and I think it took a lot out of him, and I think he said, you know what? This isn't so bad. You know, physically I feel a lot better. And he's been great for us.